Wangiha. JB Wangiha, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Yes.
It's a privilege and an honor to have you on the pod.
I'm the one who's privileged to be here, by the way. I got the invitation for the podcast. I was like, oh, yeah. God is really opening doors. Now I'm showing up in podcasts. You mean? But thank you so much for having me.
You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much.
I believe sometimes it's just good to give your flowers and people are there listening to it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's indeed impactful.
Yeah.
So maybe just want to have a few conversations regarding the different elements within your scope. But before that, we want to just know who JB is. JB alizaliwa wapi? Amegrow wapi? Mziki alianza lini? But first, let us just know where you were born.
Yeah.
How did you grow up?
Yeah. I feel like I should have brought my baby photos as well. Like, I'm just demonstrating. This was me at this and this age. I was doing this. Yeah, but people know me as JB, but my full names are John Wangiha. J stands for John. B, I have no idea. People keep asking me what B means. I also don't know. It just started as a nickname sometime and then it stuck. But John JB Wangiha was born in Naivasha ndo home, Naivasha, Kenya. I was born. I'm the second born in a family of 4 siblings. So I was born, raised, grew up in Naivasha. I went to primary school in Naivasha for a while and then I went to boarding school in Kinango. Kwenye hiyo place inakuanga na baridi ingine crazy. Then I went to high school in Nyeri, Kagumo High School in Nyeri, and then after high school, that's how I ended up in Nairobi. Yeah. But that's glossing over most of the details of my childhood. But I was born and raised in Naivasha. Short. Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Maybe now, how did you, is anybody interrelated with music in your family?
Interestingly, I am the only person in my family who sings. I'm in the pioneer, man. So I'd say the only other person would be my mom kidogo, because I remember when I was younger, my mom used to really sing in church and all that. So, but maybe like music, I can't say I am those people who come from musical families. Even I look around, even my siblings, like ni mimi too, basically. Yeah. So even of course they love music. My family loves music, but musicians are not really. Mindo pioneer. Mindo kusema.
Nice. So did you play music across the study? Maybe primary, or when did that?
So my story
come about?
My story with music, I remember in the church that we used to go to. Me grew up church sana, so even the music that I learned music through church. So I remember when I was around 2.5, 3 years old, there was a guy who used to play drums in the church that I was in, and then he would play and then I'd go and take drumsticks and then akicheza niko hapo kando yake hata mimi nacheza nazo. So like the drums, I fell in love with the drums when I was a very young child and I loved playing them. And then I remember when I was about 7, we moved churches and the church we went to didn't have that. Ilikuanga na keyboard, ni zile churches za beat ya keyboard. And then because it was a local church, ilikuwa inaekangwa kwetu. So 8-year-old me would have the keyboard in the room. And then I think by the time I was getting to learn music later, I already knew what sharps and flats were. Because I would go to that keyboard. Those of us who play the keyboard, there's that ACM accompaniment button. If you press it, it shows you the chords. So I'd go and press, and then it shows me a certain chord with some very funny symbols. And then with time now as I grew older, that's when I knew that's what sharps and flats were. So because I was also a very inquisitive child, I grew up wanting to, just growing up wanting to discover music more and more. And I remember now when I turned 15, we moved back to our old church that had access to my instruments, and then that's how I got into playing and all that. But even as a kid, my mom would always find me stacking sufurias and then I'm just hitting them as drums, like from a young age. So all my childhood I played drums. So I only switched to bass during COVID. I tell people that story, they're like, no, yeah. And it's only because during COVID what happened, I happened to have bought an acoustic guitar. And then wakati nilibuy, COVID happen immediately. I think like 2 weeks after that. So I'm at home now. I don't have anything to do now. I was curious, how does this thing work and all that. And then they had a very bad action. Like the strings ilikuanga juu. So nikijaribu kuplay chords inanichosha. So nikishachoka, I'm like, So but at the back of my mind, like I'd hear bass. There's a very specific song that got me to playing bass. It's a song called The Fury by Zaza. It has a very groovy bass line. So I'd hear it and then I'm like, I wanna play what's happening in the song. So then I play and I skiza. So because I have an acoustic and I can, so I'd figure out it. And then as I got more interested and more curious, I went on, got a bass just before the lockdown ended. And then hapo ndio story yangu na bass ilianzia. But I think part of the reason why I've always had this relationship with music, with music, is because nakwanga, mimi ni curious naturally. So neza kama nione leo mnatumia iMac inisumbue kwa kichwa niende mpaka ni figure out tatumika aje. Yeah. But and then that coupled with my love just for doing music. Yes. Yeah.
I've seen you have such a catalogue of instruments. How many instruments do you play?
I see more. I think proficiently I'd say I can play drums proficiently, I can play bass proficiently. I can play acoustic too. Ukiniita gigs tachoma, nichezea acoustics tachoma.
Tutafanya baada
hapo. Yeah, but and then now keys, I when I was in high school, I used to do music in high school, and then they'd give us set pieces to play in keys. I hated it, so because chukia. So hapo ndio mimi na keys tuli. But huwezi nitanganya kwa keys, so najua unaweza cheza chord ni kwambie hiyo ni D minor, hiyo ni D major 9. Hii ni D augmented alternate flat.
Naona muziki naye imeingia.
Yeah, I think niyo so zina couple na hiyo inquisitiveness as well. Yes.
Yeah. So what was your breakthrough point into now the professionalism bit? Maybe when was your turnover? Now maybe now you came about now to. So
let me say, like, I used to for the longest time I just used to do music as something as I loved. But I'd say like in 2021-ish, 2021, that's when like I now got really wanted to do, because I remember just something. Remember, I grew up in church. Actually, funny story. When I was in campus, first year, I joined campus in 2018. Every weekend, I'd go home to play drums in church. Umesikia nimekwambia home ni wapi? Home ni Naivasha. So nilikuwa natoka nai, nenda Naivasha kucheza drums, alafu narudi. So even my classmates wangu walikuwa wanajuanga weekend. So watu I think that kind of saved me a lot of these things people get into in campus, because my classmates knew ikifika weekend Thursday na JB ameenda kucheza drums. And I think and at that time I was in that age of discovering the instrument, really like I just wanted to be in the instrument. And then when COVID happened, I remember I'd go, because the church was not far from home, I'd just go and lock myself up in the drums, nacheza hata sijui like nacheza tu. And then now and then also at the same time, that's when I was also learning bass. And now what happened now in 2021, that's when I was getting back after COVID, I was like, oh, I think that's when I started getting called, naitwa mari nacheza na pelekwa hapo nyuma napewa bahasha. I was like, people get paid. Oh wait, I thought ni kitu msichana fanyanga juu nikono psycho ya kufanya. Yeah, so like I was I'd go nikapewa bahasha. I was like, oh maybe, I mean, and then now that's when like I just got curious about how do people do music. And then at the time I also had friends that we'd come together and jam. So we formed a band at the time, and then we now start gigging and all that. And then that was 2021, 2022. And now 2023, when 2023 happened, I remember, I didn't have something to do for that year. Since nilikuwa nimemaliza coursework yangu ya campo 2022, I was waiting to graduate. I was like, this year, let me just give it to music. So I'll just do music for the whole of 2023. Yeah. And a lot of things have happened since then. Yes. But hapo ndio story yangu na music professionalism ilianza.
Wow.
Yeah.
So entirely but umecheza muziki tuseme almost the whole of your life.
Wacha tuseme hivyo. No, but I think unajua kuna, like I said, unakumbuka kwetu hakuna musicians. So unajua naonanga sometimes I don't say I envy them, but like nakujanga nakuta wase wako, unakusikia nakwambia, unajua I used to have my dad, you see people like I used to have a dad who's a legend, who's a legendary musician. Like bro, mi kota kuna mse anafanya music, but the beauty about it is my family is very embracive. So they are like, unajua kuna families zingine kiana, what are you doing? But my family was like, this kid loves this thing. I remember especially my dad would see this kid loves this thing. I remember even the reason we moved back to our old church is because my dad saw I'm really struggling to get a place where I can access these instruments, especially the drums. So yeah, he moved the whole family back to Kasema just because I can go and access there. So like, so that I always had somebody holding me up, but I think because of that wanting to learn and that yearning for knowledge and just wanting to get how to play this thing, really keep on that path of of learning how to play. History sijaipeana mali kwingine by the way. This is the first
exclusive.
This is exclusive listen.
I believe even someone who is listening or the viewer who is watching is realizing that akikuona leo ukicheza ilianza kitambo, ilianza kwa masufuria ikagrow the passion till to and that's what I tell people all the time is it's a process.
Yes.
When you see someone today, you need to ask them the story. There's always a story behind whatever they do at best.